Hello, everybody. I'm Pearlo Wisdom, and you're listening to my NHL Pearlos of Wisdom P-Pow Picks Edition. And yesterday, put it bluntly, I got my ass handed to me. And the main reason why I got my ass handed to me is I didn't listen to me. I got onto some other podcasts, and I went against some of the bets that I had when I started. And I should never do that, ever. Better to lose on your own bet than being talked off your bet. I'll tell you that right now, because it pisses you off even more. It pisses you off. It pisses me off when I do that. And I've done it before, and I did it yesterday. Let's go through this. If you were watching me, hey, how you doing, Caden? Welcome in, buddy. If you watched my picks before the video I did really well, actually. And then I changed my picks, and I'm pissed off about it. Lightning versus Avalanche. I had the Lightning, and then for some reason I convinced myself that it was going to be a close match, and I don't know why. Because Georgiev sucks. Let's face it. People want to know what's wrong with Colorado. Georgiev sucks. I said it before the season, and then I said, okay, Colorado, they see something in Georgiev. They're gonna work with him, and they're gonna make him a better goaltender. Maybe that's it. But from what I saw in the Rangers when he was with the Rangers, I really hated his attitude towards the fact that Shesterkin was a number one. He was like so bothered by that, and it showed a lack of character, and it showed immaturity, which he was young. So, and he's still he's not that young, no. It was just something you don't want to see in a goaltender. And when they picked him up, I figured that, that's the thing, is he kind of has the talent to do it. I can see where you see that, but I don't like going with a goaltender with that kind of an attitude. And so at the Avalanche, they have they're a serious analytics team, much like Carolina, New Jersey. And, and as you can tell, these are great teams, and analytics are wonderful. But there's one part of analytics, the analytics group, that I don't agree with, and that is that you don't pay much for goaltenders. Because they got away with it up until now. They made Grubauer look like a Norris Trophy winner, but he's not. I'm not surprised the Bolts won yesterday. No, I just wish I would have stuck with my original pick. It was a revenge game. Makar got hurt. They were looking ahead to this game. It was obvious. They fell apart against San Jose. This is games that the Lightning don't lose. So I'm mad at myself for. I didn't take the Avalanche. I took Avalanche plus 1.5 because you were getting good odds on it. I thought it would at least be tight, but I'm not happy that I switched my original pick, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Not doing it anymore. It's the last time. I hadn't did it in a really long time. And yesterday, I don't know if it was a confidence thing or whatever, I screwed up, and I got my ass handed to me. Like I said, Georgiev is not the answer. I don't believe Georgiev is the answer. And the Avalanche, and when they do make the playoffs, I think they're going to struggle with Georgiev as their goaltender. I don't like his attitude. Simple as that. And when you look back at the thing that happened there with, what's his name, D'Angelo with Georgiev, you start to see that maybe it might have to do just as much, at least, with the attitude of Georgiev. I don't like it. Do you remember when Georgiev beat the Rangers? when, hey, how you doing, Brian? Nice. Thanks for coming in. Remember when the Avalanche beat the Rangers and Georgiev was jumping up and down like he won the cup? I was like, you're an idiot. So what? You beat the Rangers. It's a freaking team. Like, that told me something there. He's immature. And I think it's a problem. I think it could even be a problem in the room here with Colorado. Much like I've said with St. Louis and Binnington. I don't like the guy. And anyways, the Lightning beat him up, and I'm not doing it again. Like I said, I'm not switching. Here's another one. If you watched my live that I did, or if you watched it in video form, which you can do, by the way, this Oilers game, I said the Flyers could win this game. I would consider putting the Flyers on here. And that's because the Flyers play, they beat you all over the ice. And the Oilers have a tendency to lose to teams like that. Especially, and they did. And I'm pissed off. I switched it. I got talked off of it, thinking that the Oilers are on a run right now and they're not going to overlook the Flyers and all that kind of stuff like that. And they did. Did they overlook it? The Flyers just outworked them. And the Oilers can lose to teams that can outwork them. It's the reason why, until they can solve that issue, they're not winning a cup. You're not winning a cup if you're losing to a Flyers team like this just because you were outworked in the position that they're in. I mean, they're not solid in a playoff spot. They need these wins. They get a point out of the deal. But, I mean, talent-wise, all they got to do is outwork the Flyers and they win that game easy. Only reason why the Flyers lost that game is they got outworked. That's it. Panthers versus Sharks. I can't believe that didn't go over. I just can't believe it. I had an over on that game. Like, this is 2 over teams all to hell. That stuff happens. I did have the Panthers in regulation then. But if you saw my video before, I said if the Panthers were to lose this game, that would be because they're looking ahead. They're looking ahead to Colorado, and they're in no position to look ahead. So, to me, this was a character test for the Panthers, and they passed. They passed the test. They didn't play their best game, but they came around in the second and third, woke up and said, okay, you know what, this Sharks team, and it's true, it's well coached. This is a well-coached team. This is a team that has pride, and they do work hard. They don't have talent, but they work hard, much like the Philadelphia Flyers. Except the Philadelphia Flyers play better defensively. But I had Panthers in regulation. I also had the over, and that kicked my ass. Devils versus the Kraken. I didn't know what to do with this game. I was leaning the Devils, and I was on the under. So that was good. I was a little unsure about the under with Blackwood in net. But I think what we're starting to see with the Seattle Kraken is a team that put every ounce they had to get to where they are. And I think physically it's taken a toll now. They're on the road. Their goaltending is not going to hold up forever. Also, it's not just that. And I've been saying this for a while. The Kraken had an unsustainable shooting percentage. It was eventually probably going to start to come down. An unsustainably high shooting percentage. It was eventually going to start coming down. It's a high shooting percentage like that is usually to do with good coaching. When you see high shooting percentages, for the most part, it's like the coach has a great environment there. Guys are playing loose and stuff like that. But now you're getting to the point where people know who you are now. People know, hey, wait, this Kraken team is pretty darn good. And the pressure is going to be on for the rest of the way. So they're going to be playing a lot more important games. They're not going to be playing against teams that are like, okay, this is an expansion team, blah, 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 blah. They're going to get up for these games more, and I think the Kraken will fall out. Will they fall out of a playoff spot? I don't know. But even if they do make a playoffs, with Grubauer and Jones as your goaltender, you're not going to win. So, I've been saying that all along, and I'll just keep it going with that. For the Devils, good win for them without their leader and best player in Hughes. Hamilton broke a record for the fastest defenseman to 50 points in the Devils organization, including the Colorado Rockies of all time. And 14 goals he has on the year. When they signed him, I remember a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, that's really high. $9 million is a lot of money, but I mean, I'd rather pay $9 million to him than Nurse. And he is he's a very underrated player. He's always been analytically amazing. He's a strong defenseman. And even if you're paying $1 million or so more, it's a defenseman. And they're hard to find, man. Defensemen are hard to find in the league, especially ones that can score 15 goals in, what are they playing, 50th game or something like that now? I mean, he could pot 20 this year, maybe. And, of course, Marino is back in, which to me is bigger than, it's as big as Hughes not being in. He is such an underrated defenseman. What Pittsburgh was doing there, getting rid of him in the way they did it, I have no idea, but that Ty Smith better turn out to be one hell of a player, because Marino is one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, and Pittsburgh didn't have any defensive defensemen. Like, it was just a terrible move. And then get Petrie, who hasn't played good defensively for 3 years, and you wonder why Pittsburgh's struggling. This is the one that really ticked me off, because when I did my video before, I said the Red Wings were going to win this game. Again, I was watching something. I listened to a whole bunch of different stuff, which maybe I got to stop doing. And I turned my bet, and I took Flames in regulation because of the value you're getting on the Flames. Stupid. It was a stupid thing, because the Flames, with the Sutter coach team, they can't score. It's been that way forever. And then Sutter shames them that they can't score. His whole psychology is basically saying that it's hard to make the playoffs. He's saying it constantly all the time. This gets in the players' heads, and they think that every game is a grind and and that's how they play. They'll play the Red Wings, no doubt about it. But again, they're shooting right at the heart of the goaltender every time they shoot, because they're playing tight. They're holding their sticks tight. They're not playing loose. You're not going to be picking corners and stuff like that when you're holding your stick too tight. You just shoot at the pads, shoot right in the gut of the goaltender. I mean, Husso isn't even having that great of a year, and they made him look like a Vezina candidate, which I should have known. And finally, not finally, but Islanders versus Canucks. I did have the over in this. I did have the Islanders in this. I never thought the Canucks were going to do this. I'm not even going to pretend that I did. I thought the Islanders would come out for bear here. But the Canucks showed a lot of heart, showed some character, came back hard, said, you know what? We're not going to go down to this narrative for sure. They came out and just fired away, and they ended up coming back. I think they even outshot them, didn't they? I did have Bo Horvat over 2.5 shots. Also, I had Toffoli over 2.5 shots. And I had my shot props did well yesterday. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, they ended up out-shooting them 34-29. And most of that, I believe, they don't have it by period here, was in the third period. The Islanders had 23 giveaways to the Canucks 9, so they were putting the pressure in the offensive zone against them. Should have thought about that. The Islanders struggle against team speed. They still don't have all that much speed in the lineup, and they got rid of speed in Beauvillier when they made the deal. So I'll talk a little bit more of that. I talked about it before, and I said before, I think the Islanders may or may not make the playoffs, but this trade was ridiculous. There was no reason to make that trade for Horvat. I just don't agree with it. I don't think it's the contract is too high. I mean, I like Horvat, but he's having his career year on a contract year. He'll probably never reach that again in his career. It doesn't make you a contender this year or next year. The team is still too old. It has doesn't really have replacement players, meaning like guys get hurt, they come up. They're not very effective players, so they end up having to play these old guys all through the season. If I were to guess, I'd say the Islanders still make the playoff or still miss the playoffs, and then they're in trouble because they have no first-round pick. And yeah, it's going to be a rough trip for Islanders fans for a while, unless they get their head out of their ass and start realizing this team needs to rebuild. It does. I mean, let's flat out say it. The team needs to rebuild, and it will not do it. It will not do it. So it'll be a Midland team probably for years, even though they have one of the best goaltenders in the league. And this is one I did have Vegas. I had Vegas in that podcast. I didn't change it. I had the under. It pushed, I believe. Yeah. But the Wild, until they get some center depth, they're going to struggle for sure. I mean, you can't have Hartman as your number one center or Steele. You know, it's just, you can't. You got an awesome player in Kaprizov. They got some good pieces in Boldy and stuff like that. But until the center either steps up from their prospect ranks like Rossi or something like that, they're not a contender, and they're barely making the playoffs and all that kind of stuff like that. So it's the way it's going to be. Eichel apparently had a really great game last night, and that being the case, if that stays that way, Vegas is going to look really good going into the playoffs. Now, if they were in the East in most of those divisions, I think they'd be having a really hard time right now. That division is just really poor. So they get a lot of games against teams that, you know, just about any other team in the East would beat most of the time. So do I think they're a contender? I mean, not really. And Thompson went down last night too. So I think it's Dallas in the West right now. I've been saying that for a while. We put a future on Dallas, 3 weeks ago, to win the West at 7-1 or something like that. So, and I like it. I think Dallas has got a really good chance there. The good thing about the West is it is wide open. The Golden Knights could get rolling. I love their defense, but goaltending is going to be tough. And I think, sorry, I got some allergies going on here. If you look at the West here, I'm forgetting about Winnipeg. I mean, I still don't like Winnipeg's defense. I haven't liked Winnipeg's defense all year. They've sort of regressed a little bit. We'll see how they are for the last 30 games here. Edmonton, could they do it on pure offense? I mean, who does that? I think if LA gets goaltending, if LA goes and gets Vejmelka like I did in my trade video, I said that, I had them as a number one team to get Vejmelka, they could do some serious damage. They just need goaltending. They can't go into the playoffs with Quick and, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name now? Copley. I can't see it. The good news for them is there's a lot of teams that have that problem, right? I just mentioned Vegas. Seattle doesn't have very good goaltending. Edmonton doesn't have very good goaltending. Colorado doesn't have very good goaltending. Winnipeg does. Hellebuyck could go off and get them places. And Dallas has Ottinger, who we saw what he did in the playoffs last year. I just think Dallas is the class of the Western Conference. When Colorado gets their players back, though, Landeskog and everybody, then you're looking at for sure Colorado. But like I said, I just have so little faith in Georgiev. That's the biggest problem I have with that. Okay, so let's look at the games today, shall we? We got 4 games on the slate. Freaky Friday, I like to call it. And kind of a tough card. But Toronto versus Columbus. And neither one of these teams have played. This is their first game after the break. They've had forever off. I don't like betting these games. And we all know the whole thing with Toronto playing against teams like Columbus. They played, playing down to their competition. I think a lot of that has to do with teams playing up to Toronto too. Because, okay, let's look at, here's something I like to look when you look at Colorado or Toronto games. Something that I like to take a look at. The teams that quite often beat Toronto that suck are teams that have... Where the heck is Columbus? How much cap space do they have? Yeah, way up here. Wow, they don't even have... Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't have much cap space. Are teams that have a lot of Toronto players on them. So you got Jenner. He plays. And the reason why, that means a lot of players that were born in Toronto. I was born in Miss Ontario. And, playing again... Toronto is just in the heart of Ontario people. It's hockey is everything there. And when you get a chance to play in Toronto, you got your family there. It's just a dream. It's like a dream every time you go there. And it doesn't just start with the first time you go. It's like you don't get used to it. You'll give everything you got when you're playing in Toronto. Like I say, usually the family is there if you're from Toronto. The thing is here is Columbus doesn't have a lot of players from Toronto here. They just have Jenner, really, that are significant players. So that has me leaning towards Toronto in this game. But unfortunately, the juice is going to be ridiculous, right? Minus 238. Oh, no, this is in Columbus. What am I talking about? So they're playing Toronto, but it's not in Toronto. I like it better that Toronto's on the road here. And it's the first game back off a break. What do they got? And they play them back-to-back, too. They're playing them back-to-back. How thirsty is Toronto going to be here? Looking at where they are positionally, they're set in their position pretty much for the playoffs. Nobody's going to catch them. They're not catching Boston. The only real thing is that they want to keep home ice advantage against Tampa Bay, which I do think is important to them. Columbus is going to be playing like free, nothing to lose. Let's see if we can beat Toronto, stuff like that. I don't know if I like this game at all. Well, goaltending hasn't been confirmed yet. If Columbus is playing free like that, it could turn out to be a offensive battle. But I mean, Columbus doesn't have the greatest scores in the world. Samsonov is playing fantastic. Both of the goaltenders, though, will be very, very rusty. I think maybe what I might look at here is like first period over, something like that. But I don't know if I like this game. Logically speaking, Toronto should slam Columbus, and this is probably a game I'll watch. I'll probably bet this live. If Toronto comes out and they want to win this game for whatever reason, they're going to win this game, and they're going to win handily. But if they come out all lazy, they've been golfing all week and stuff like that, I think Columbus has a good chance to win it. But I can't tell what they're going to decide to do or what they're going to be like when they first come out. Columbus could be all lazy and shit, not even caring. So I'm probably going to lay off the game. I don't like it. I don't like betting on two teams that have like 9 days off. It could be a slow plodding, who gives a shit game. So, you want to look at the under there. Weird game. So I'll get off of that because right now, if I were to take anything, I'd probably take under 6.5. Because you're getting plus money. There's a really good chance it starts out slow. Because both of them are going to take a while to get their legs going. Under 1.5 first period, maybe. Because both of them probably are not going to have their legs to start off with. And Columbus, with Samsonov, it's hard to take the under because both goaltenders are going to be rusty. But if I were to play anything, it would probably be the under. Okay. Next, Seattle versus the Rangers. And I see no way that Seattle wins this game. Coming off that loss in New Jersey last night, they're going to have Jones in net, I imagine. They're not going to play Grubauer back-to-back. Shesterkin should be in net for the Rangers, and they just got that big boost of getting Tarasenko. Just like we saw with the Islanders when they got Horvat. It's like something about that feeling that, hey, the organization's got our backs, and the feel-goodness of it. The Rangers, they're in a playoff spot, but do they have anybody? No, see, they're not like... Washington is there, 6 points behind. I mean, they haven't had a spectacular year so far. They're not going to catch New Jersey. I think the bad part of this game is I do believe that they have Carolina after this. That's about the only thing I could say that would put me in the Rangers spot. No, they have Carolina. On a it's a back-to-back with Carolina next. I don't like that because they definitely could be looking ahead to Carolina here. They definitely could be looking ahead to Carolina. I just think getting Tarasenko in there, they'll come in on a high, though. And I think Seattle is kind of beaten down right now. They're not feeling too good about themselves after beating New Jersey. Not to mention, they're on their third game in 4 nights. It's deflating. You go into the island just before the Horvat trade, they beat you. You go into New Jersey, wanting to get at least a point out of this game, and you lose. Now you're going to go up against the Rangers on a back-to-back. I mean, the will be there. The big question is, are the Rangers going to look ahead to Carolina? You're playing against they're definitely going to want to win that game against Carolina. More than they certainly want to beat Seattle here. But I think getting Tarasenko yesterday is going to lift them up. They're going to want to play hard for their new guy. That's the thing. If you want to play hard for the new guy, you got a new guy in. You certainly don't want to go out and put a clunker out there, right? Even though you got Carolina the next day. So I would have to go with the Rangers here still. But I'm keeping my bet down just simply because the Rangers do this. And is it possible that Seattle was looking ahead to this playing in New York a little bit? And they're kind of saving themselves a bit? I'll take the Rangers, and I think I'll go the under. I think the under might be the better play here than anything. I think it's a 6. You're getting what, minus 103? And the reason why I would think lean the under here is if the Rangers do get ahead early, maybe Rangers minus 0.5 first period. They'll probably come out hard to try to get ahead and then try to conserve themselves for Carolina. Rangers minus 0.5 first period seems like a good play. But if they do get ahead, I think they'll try to conserve themselves for Carolina, in which case they're not going to be going hard after that. And the question is, will Seattle be able to score to keep the pace going? And lately, they haven't been able to do that. Seattle has had a difficult time scoring. Burakovsky, their best goal scorer, is not in the lineup. So I got to go the Rangers. With Jones in net, too. Let me put it this way. If the Rangers drop this one, if they don't come out hard, I think they get their ass kicked by Carolina. Have you ever noticed that except for teams like Tampa Bay, it just shows a lack of character. The truth is you need to win. If you don't win against Carolina the next day, okay, that's fine. But get this one. Because now this is the way I see it. If I'm a player, if I'm a coach or whatever, I'm saying you want one of these 2 wins. If you lose against Seattle, there's a pretty good chance you can lose against Carolina. And now you're going to lose 2 in a row. Right? So take care of business here, for sure. No doubt about it. Now, there's one thing. It won't be Shesterkin. It's going to be Halak. That's the thing. That's right, because they're going to save Shesterkin for Carolina. Yeah, boy, but I still say Rangers win. I still say the Rangers win. A little harder to take the under, but Halak has played very well, so. How well has Halak played at home? Anyways, 3 games in 4 nights. Jones in net. for Seattle. I still think Jones hasn't really been good. It's just Seattle's been outscoring him as an average goaltender. Their shooting percentage has been high, and they've been able to do that. I don't see them doing that. 3 games in 4 nights against a Rangers team that's going to be on a high right now with getting Tarasenko. So I'll take the Rangers. Arizona versus Chicago. I really need goaltending confirmation for this for sure. And I don't think we got it. It says Shesterkin is probable. I just can't believe Shesterkin's going to be in there. Korpisalo is in net for the Blue Jackets. He's not that bad. I wonder if they're going to put Samsonov in. We'll have to see who Toronto puts in, too. That's going to be a weird game. If it's Vejmelka. Oh, yeah. Are they on a back-to-back? Yes, they are. Who do they got next? Who do both of them have next? St. Louis. Okay, it's not going to be Vejmelka against Chicago. So, what's their backup goaltender's name? He's not very good. Shit, you almost got to go the over. And Chicago has Winnipeg. So I don't know who they think their best goaltender is. Who's the best goaltender for Chicago? And Mrazek? I mean, they don't really have a good goaltender. So, who do they got as their backup right now? Oh, Jackson Stauber. Jackson Stauber has played really well since he's come in. Oh boy. I like Arizona's game. Arizona gives me a feeling that, they're really trying to win games, where Chicago sometimes doesn't. I like their game to win this, but they're terrible on the road. Ingram, yeah, Connor Ingram. It's terrible. It's terrible. Against Jackson Stauber, who they haven't seen before, and who's played really well. It could go either way. What are they giving you for an over-under on this? If it's a 6, I think I'll go the over. It's a 6. Yeah, go over. Ingram, Chicago will score a couple on Ingram. Arizona does play a good offensive game. I would kind of lean the over, but Arizona's got is the favorite in this. Chicago plus 1.5. Put it in a parlay or something. Yeah, I don't know. Pittsburgh versus Anaheim. See, all of these are pretty tough. Pittsburgh has been playing like ass. Like complete ass. But they did beat the Stanley Cup champions last game. Could be a confidence builder. They need this win. And Anaheim has been playing well. They've been playing well mostly on the road. And they're home in this battle. Gibson's been playing a heck of a lot better. And I believe he'll be in net here. And Gibson has historically played really well against Pittsburgh. And of course, we know that they're going to have DeSmith in net. Oh, I heard that Jari might be back. See, I wanted to see what Anaheim's road splits are right now. And who they beat. Okay, so they beat Arizona on the road, they beat Colorado on the road. And they came home. They won against Arizona again, lost against Dallas, and then barely beat Chicago. Now that could be because they're looking ahead to Pittsburgh. And now they come home for one, go again and go on the road and play Vegas. Vegas is going to be the bigger game for them, I think. But what were they doing? See, when they were at home before, they went on the road and they started getting on a bit of a roll. But when they were at home before, back to January 8th, they weren't beating anybody. You got to figure Pittsburgh's going to bring it here. They're not going to undervalue Anaheim. They need this win, man. I don't care. This can't even be a look-ahead spot, really. Who do they got next? They got LA after this. I mean, you would think they need every win. The Islanders are right on their tail. Washington's on their tail. Who's going to be in net on a back-to-back? I'll tell you what, if they put Jari in here, if Jari's back, that would kind of tell me that, they're looking to win both of these games. Like, that is a statement from the coach that we're winning both of these games. We're going to try to win with DeSmith. I would play DeSmith tomorrow against LA. LA doesn't have good goaltending either. I would play Jari here. Make sure you get the freaking win. Get the fucking win here. You got to get this win here. This is a huge game for Pittsburgh. And then try DeSmith against LA, who has terrible goaltending. By the way, take the over in that game if that's what happens. They have a tough time scoring on Gibson. Gibson loves to play hard against, because he's from Pittsburgh. And he's been playing better. So, I'm not going to put much on it, but I would take Pittsburgh in regulation here. And just cross your fingers. Like, you think the character in this room, they have a better team than Anaheim. They have veteran players that know they have to win this game. They should be balls out in this game. Balls out. There's no way you overlook this team. No freaking way. Coming off a win against Colorado, feeling good. You got to be believing in yourself. Even though that win against Colorado, they shouldn't have won that game. But it's hard to take Pittsburgh right now. That's really why I'm talking about this so much. It is hard to take Pittsburgh right now. They just don't have it together. The chemistry isn't there, and their defense is deplorable. Losing Marino was a terrible thing for them. But Anaheim's defense is terrible too. And if you outwork Anaheim in this game, if man for man they outwork Anaheim in this game, they should win this game fairly easily. If they play with intent, like we need to make the playoffs now, get everything out of your head, who gives a fuck about LA? We're a much better team than this. We're a much better team than them. And we're going to, if we outwork they're a much better team. Will they do that? We'll have to see. It's kind of a tough card. Also, Friday nights. I like to take a veteran team like Pittsburgh over a young team like Anaheim. Young millionaires have a tendency to have shit going on Friday nights. They got dates with some ladies or plans to go out afterwards. Does Anaheim play the next day? No, and they're going to Vegas after this. Are you kidding me? Are they going to have their mind on this game? They're going to Vegas for Saturday, play Vegas. I'll tell you what, if Anaheim wins this game, kudos to them, because that means that these kids are starting to mature. But more often than not, young teams like this, if they're going to Vegas for a game, what's Sunday? They've got Friday, Saturday. They got other shit on their minds, man. I know me. I don't have the character for it. If I had millions of dollars, I would have a lovely lady set up for after the game. Depending on when do they travel. Do they travel the next day, or are they going to travel that night and go in? If I was a coach, you would be traveling after the game. Fuck this. You'd be traveling after the game. I want you in Vegas Saturday morning. That's what I would do if I was a coach. You would be traveling right after the game. Like, basically shovel everybody off right on a plane and get them over to Vegas for the morning, early morning practice. So you got no chance to be dating anybody on a Friday night or anything like that. And then you just have to worry about what they're going to do in Vegas Saturday night. That's the problem. But, and what else, what are you going to do about that? So these kids, they could have some date lined up for Saturday night in Vegas, man. And then play against Vegas on Sunday. So it's a look-ahead spot in a different way. I think Pittsburgh probably... Things should line up for Pittsburgh here. I'll tell you what, if Pittsburgh doesn't win this game, fuck them making the playoffs. Fuck that. They're not making shit. I don't know where the character went in this team, but if they don't win this game, it tells me everything I need to know about this team. This is a must-win. Lose against LA, okay, maybe. I get it, whatever. But you don't lose this game. You don't fucking lose this game. There's no way you lose this game against this team. In my mind, that a team with a character does not lose this game. So Pittsburgh in regulation is my pick. I would lean the under, especially if Jari's in net. Gibson just, I don't know. They have a hard time scoring against Gibson. It's a 6.5. And Pittsburgh hasn't been scoring worth shit. Might be the best play. That might be the better play than 6.5. I would lean the under. The only thing that kind of worries me about that is Anaheim's got nothing to lose. They're going to be playing loose. Jari is probably, if he is in, could be rusty. So Anaheim might get theirs too. And if that's the case, with Pittsburgh having a hard time scoring on Gibson, this could be a lot tighter than people think. So, all right, that's my full 42. Thanks for coming in, those who are in here. What's it, Buck Skills Gang? Who is in here? Let me take a look. No, it doesn't say anybody. Nobody. I'm talking to myself. Okay, guys, have a great day. Let's enjoy your hockey tonight and on the weekend. Of course, I generally don't do these games do these videos for the week. So if you want my picks at bpowpicks.com, comment in the comment section. Let me know. I'll get you in there for a 3-day free trial or what have you. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.